Talking with Stateside Press, I'm here with Ramiz Brahimaj, who is coming off his first UFC win. How are you?
Good, my man. How you feeling?
I'm good, man. I'm good. It's been about just about 3 weeks. How are you feeling?
Feel good, man. Back to the grind. Back to being a worker here at Fortis. So I got to enjoy the victory a little bit. But now we're just back to helping everybody and back to work, back to working with the clients, back to making sure the gym is cleaned up and taking care of business over here.
I was going to ask you a little bit later, but how did you make it to Fortis in Texas?
So I moved to Texas in 2007, right? I was born and raised in Bronx, New York. But my father, he was just like, I don't really want I can't see my family living here, just, it was a lot of trouble, especially where I grew up, where I'm from. It's a lot of kids that I grew up with. They're either dead, in jail, doing drugs, or they're not in a good state. So he always told us, he's like, I just want to take my kids somewhere where there's opportunity for them to flourish. So we had a little bit of family over here in Texas. Had a couple uncles out here. And I remember I visited Texas when I was really young. I want to say like 6 years old or something. I can't even really remember that much. And then my dad and my mom, they were talking about it. And then they were like, you know what, we got to take the kids to Texas. Schooling is better. Opportunities are way better. And I still visit New York all the time because I have so much family out there. So I'm usually always going. Lately, it's been a little bit harsh because of COVID and everything that's happened up there. But before that, I was going I want to say like every 3 to 6 months.
Gotcha. Interesting. So your first UFC win, man, how does it feel? How did it feel getting that win? Because I know that you went through some fucking shit.
Tell me about it, man. And it's crazy. A lot of people, they don't really understand how crazy, just how crazy my journey's been. Like a lot of people, they tend to forget, like, when I fought Max, I came off of almost a 2-year layoff, coming off of surgery, and then having that back and forth with Max, and then the ear injury, and then coming back from that, fighting. It's one of the greatest feelings I think I've felt in my entire career. That win made and meant so much to me. Just because of everything I had to go through, like, it was weird. I was in the blue corner again. I wore red shorts. I was in the same exact room as I was when I fought Max Griffin. And it was definitely like a growing experience, right? Because a lot of people, they get taken back to those memories, and they got to fight those demons. And a lot of people don't do too good, but I remember as soon as I went to the hotel, I was in the same exact room. And, you have those negative thoughts that come into your mind, they fuck with you. It really does fuck with you a lot, because you're like, man, last time I was here, shit went sour really quick, so. But I just told myself, I was like, you know what? It's a different day and age. We're not even in the same year anymore, not the same month, not the same day. I'm not even the same Ramiz as I was when I fought back in November. So it was a growing experience. And like I said, this win that I got 3 weeks ago, it means the world to me just because of how much perseverance and mental toughness was required of it. So definitely it did. It ranks up there, right? All my wins mean the world to me. All my fights mean the world to me. But this one is definitely a little bit sweet.
Yeah, for sure, man. So it's been 3 weeks. How do you rate the performance?
How do I rate my performance? I think it was a good performance. I'm always harsh on myself, man. Even if I get a quick finish, like even if I pitch a shutout, I'm always gonna find something to be critical about. Just something to go back to work and work on. I think it was a great performance. However, if I could make every performance somewhat similar, I would love to. But at the end of the day, that's MMA, and things change in there. They get. Sometimes they go smooth, sometimes it's not so smooth, and sometimes it goes south. But like I said, I'm very pleased with my performance, and I'm just ready to get back in there whenever I get the call up again, and I can't wait to make some more memories in there.
You didn't call anybody out, and even in your post-fight interview, you didn't really, mention any names. Are there any names that you would like to fight? Maybe not even next, just in the future.
I mean, honestly, there are so many guys in the welterweight division that, I mean, it's a very stacked division, but there are just so many guys that I would love to fight. I mean, if I had the opportunity to always be healthy and be in this career, like, let's just say, God willing, I have like 15 more years, right? Hypothetically speaking, of nothing but good health and great training camps, everything like that. I would love to fight everybody in the welterweight division, right? Just because, like, all of these fights, there are just so many good guys that are in the UFC's welterweight division. So many fun matchups and so many people that I would love to share the octagon with, in the top 15, top 20, top 5, champion, you name it, right? But of course, realistically, it doesn't go down like that. So I just take it one day, pardon me, one step at a time. And I look forward to whoever I got to fight next. I've always been that way.
For sure, man. I mean, some people make their living off of calling people out, and you let people come to you, right?
Yeah, of course, man. I'm not too worried about, like, to me, if it's shit talk and it's something that might arouse me, might entice me a little bit, like, I'll do it. But like I said, I don't go out of my way for it. If it's like banter that I'll engage in, I'll do it. But I mean, like I said, for me, I'd rather just keep it classy, just handle my business in the cage.
Couple things I want to hit on. Obviously, I think you're going to be asked about your ear for maybe the next few fights. So, I mean, first of all, did it hurt?
No, it really didn't, and the craziest thing is whenever people ask me, they're like, man, they're like, did it hurt? Did you feel it? Yeah. I mean, I felt it like right away. At first, I thought the side of my head was cut open. And then I realized it wasn't the side of my head, and it was my ear that was actually cut open. And, I started to feel like warm liquid, which was my blood, start to go down my ear canal. I was like, fuck, my ear's cut open. I was like, damn, this shit sucks. And surprisingly, it didn't hurt. It definitely, I mean, shit, I looked at it and I was like, how the fuck did that not hurt? Like, damn, like, what the hell? That's crazy. Like, I remember I looked at the replay and everything. I was like, damn, that is nuts. But it really did not hurt. I'm serious. Like, even once it got stitched up, I got to go back home. I mean, I figured, I mean, they gave me pain medicine, but I never took it. And it was weird because the thing was, I thought it was really going to hurt, to be 100% honest with you. I was like, man, this is going to suck tomorrow, the day after. Like, but no, it was weird. The only thing that they did was they put a little bit lidocaine all around the side of my head before they started to suture it. But even then, I didn't want too much lidocaine because the needle was like going directly touching my bone. And I was like, yeah, that didn't feel good, Whenever they were sticking it with lidocaine initially with the needle, that did not feel good at all. Like, I did not like
that. What was the recovery process like? Because I'm sure you couldn't, your ear couldn't be touched for a while, right? So, like, what was the recovery process like?
I mean, it was just like any other cut. You just had to monitor it as much as possible. I want to say, I think we were like 2 months, I was good to go back to training, technically speaking. But Coach Safe was extremely adamant about waiting like close to 4 months just to make sure everything healed properly. I was still doing pad work. I was still watching a lot of YouTube jiu-jitsu videos and like watching MMA all the time. But like I said, it wasn't contact. That was the hardest part, because I love training as much as the next man. I love being in the gym. I love always being around my guys, and helping every single one of my teammates get ready for fights. So I think just having to sit on the sidelines while they got ready was one of the hardest things for me, and not being able to train for myself, of course, but, just I always love being involved in everybody's training camp, you know, and helping them get their wins. You know, it brings like one of the ultimate bits of satisfaction that I get is not only seeing myself win, but also my teammates, you know, and watching these guys go through like a hellacious camp and then get their hand raised is like, for me, I'm like, dude, I'm on cloud nine with them.
Awesome. I guess, do you find it annoying that the casual fans are just going to know you by the ear guy for the next maybe 2-3?
I mean, man, if I could change that in my next fight, that's exactly what I'm gonna do. But at the end of the day, you know, I never worry too much about what other people think. You know, it's all about, for me, for my performances, because I also have an understanding, just as anybody that has been keeping up with MMA for a while, like the real hardcores, they know that when you step in there, anything could happen. You know, like you could literally lose. I mean, there was a guy, I think he was on a regional scene, he lost his finger in a fight, and I was like, dude, how? But I mean, like nothing is outside the realm of possibility once you step into that cage, you know. And I mean, death, seriously, like death could happen, you know, like anybody could die in that octagon. And it's definitely one of those things, you know, once you step in there, you just have to let go, because you have to understand that anything could happen. But as far as how people remember me or what people think, I think I still have a lot more memorable performances and a lot more dominant wins that I'm going to put on, and that I think is going to make its own case, you know, for it to happen, you know. So I think, who was it? Leslie Smith had her ear cut open. And I mean, Leslie Smith had so many more memorable performances. Kazushi Sakuraba, you know, you look at Kazushi and everything that he's done, his body of work. So that's exactly how I envision myself to be. You know, I won't let a little wound define who I am, or a loss define who I am. I've never been that kind of person, just as I never let a win define who I am. It's about my character. It's about what I continuously do day in and day out. That's what I feel like really defines me.
For sure. And by the way, you have a 100% finish rate, you know, and all by submission.
I've never been in a boring fight, man. You've been keeping up with my fights since I fought David not David Luna, David Lopez in 2017, after all that craziness that was happening with my fights dropping out after my first pro fight and all of that craziness. But like I said, man, I've never been in a boring fight, even in the fights that I've lost, as controversial as some of them may have been, and as crazy as a lot of them may have been. I mean, dude, I've never been, I can honestly say that, you know, I'm so thankful for that. I mean, it sucks sometimes because crazy shit does happen in my fights. Like I remember when I fought Evan Cutts, you know, I was literally talking about it today. One of the younger amateurs, he brought it up to me. I got done teaching my client, and one of the amateurs here, he also helps clean up the gym and everything like that. And we were just talking about it. He's like, man, you know, I remember the fight with Evan Cutts. He's like, it's crazy. He's like, I fought, actually, I had a concussion after I slammed Evan. I hit the beam, and I was like out of there. I don't remember the rest of round one or round two, but it was definitely a pretty crazy fight. And I mean, for me to be on autopilot to do what I was still doing, it was pretty impressive. But like I said, I've never been in a boring fight. Anybody who's kept up with my career knows that every time I fight, I bring it, you know. So I'm always going to have that mindset. And like I said, I hope that also in the future, it leads to some crazy impressive finishes and crazy wins. Like I said, I mean, my record speaks for itself. My finishing rate speaks for itself. And I'm one of those guys that I don't just like to win. I like to finish. You know, I like to put a statement on my wins, you know, and on my fights especially.
No, totally, 100%. I just got a couple more things for you. So you just kind of touched on it, but so it took you 2 years to find a fight after your MMA debut. Why was that?
Man, it was insane. Okay, so I think my first 4 or 5 fights, some of them probably don't show up on Tapology, but we had agreed to a bunch of different contracts and a bunch of different fights. I remember even one of them, it wasn't on my Tapology, but I think I was supposed to have my second pro fight for Bellator, because that's when they would come to Winstar and Thackerville, and then they kept taking like local guys, you know. So that was back when we were at Octagon. So that was like 2014, 15. and it was just fights falling through. It was ridiculous, man. It was kind of that was definitely one of the moments where I kind of wanted to stop my journey, my MMA journey, just because I was like, man, I'm not fighting. Like, this sucks, you know, like I'm broke and I'm not fighting. Like, dude, this is a recipe for disaster and this sucks, you know. But it was just one of those things I just saw it through. And I remember having these conversations with Coach Safe, and he told me, he's like, man, it's gonna pay off, you know, all this patience, all these trials that you're going through, you know, just, they're gonna make you a better fighter, they're gonna make you a better human, and it's gonna pay off in the long run. And I mean, it definitely did. I still have a lot more to do and a lot more left in me. But like I said, it's one of those things that I look back, and it was injuries, it was fights falling through, and it didn't click. But when it clicked, in 2017, when I had my second fight, then shortly after I fought my third, fourth, fifth. I remember, what was it, between December 2017 to November 2018, I fought 5 times. So it was like awesome. There wasn't much more that I could ask for in that. And then had my last fight for LFA in 2019, and then I was scheduled to fight that summer in Contender Series, and unfortunately they found that tumor.
Yeah, so that's what I was. So that's the next thing. So you were scheduled against Miguel by pulled out. So that was when you found out about the tumor.
Yeah.
So
pretty nuts.
You've talked about it a little bit, but for people who don't know that you get a fucking tumor behind your eye, talk about it.
Yeah, it was crazy, man. It's one of those things that I never in my wildest dreams thought that it was even there, right? Because I didn't have like blurred vision, nothing crazy, you know, like I didn't even have like headaches, you know. I mean, it was definitely one of those things that when they found it, I was like, dude, what? I was like, are you guys sure you got the right guy? Like, I remember when I got the phone call from the UFC, from the UFC medical team, they emailed me, and then they called me, and they said I needed to see a urologist. And I was like freaking out. I was like, what the hell? I was like, what's going on? You know, like, what the hell did you guys find? You know, they're like, oh, it's just an irregular finding. And I remember for like that whole night, I just couldn't sleep. I was like, what the hell did they find? I was like, am I good? Is there something in my brain I need to worry about? I know I'm kind of fucking crazy, but like, I was like, I hope they didn't find nothing like serious in there. But yeah, I ended up going to see a neurologist, and then I saw a neurosurgeon afterwards because it was a tumor. And I remember I was like, dude, what? And it was one of those things that when they found it and they told me about it, I was like, damn, you know, I literally, like, I was at a loss for words, because like I was thinking in my head, I was like, man, this could be the end of my journey. Like, this is it, you know, like. And then I just thought back to all the fights that I had, and when he told me, he's like, at any point this could have ruptured and you would have been blind in your left eye. He's like, the pressure literally would have popped my eye. How much pressure there was there built up with the tumor and everything like that. And it was just me up like completely. And then here's the other crazy thing, is that when I went to watch the Contender Series, because Miles was actually fighting there and I had tickets to go, they ended up putting Miguel as the first fight. And then I think Alton Cunningham, he was the main event, right? And the first punch that was thrown between, I forgot the guy that he fought. The guy's in Bellator now. He's the heavyweight, light heavyweight guy. He trains at AKA, but he fought Alton Cunningham. And the first punch that he threw to Alton Cunningham actually fractured his orbital. So that's like, yeah, like, I mean, talk about insanity, because that was supposed to be me in that main event, right? So had I fought, probably would have been blinded, you know, like that would have been the end of my road right there. So it was fucking nuts, you know? So I was like, damn, it's crazy to think about. Crazy, man. Crazy. I tell people all the time, I'm like, dude, the craziest shit happens to me unintentionally. You know, like, people never believe me because they think I'm joking, but I'm like, dude, no, I wish I was. You know, like, I'm gonna eventually, it's gonna get to a point where I'm just gonna buy a GoPro and I'm gonna keep a GoPro on me like 24 hours just so people see some of the shit that I see. Like, the craziest things happen, man.
I mean, you've already had such a crazy journey.
Yeah.
It's just so wild, and I'm sure you have thousands of stories from your upbringing and all sorts of shit, you know, like
Crazy, man. I need to get on a podcast. Maybe one day, Joe Rogan, I'll be famous enough when I become champion or something like that. You know, he's gonna be like, yeah, man, we gotta have you on the podcast. And then on my way to the podcast, I might see some like fucking civil war breakout or something like that. Like, Joe, you'll never believe what I just saw, man.
100%. 100%. I just got last thing, and I'll let you go. So your UFC debut was supposed to be against Takashi Sato, and then someone from your camp tested positive for COVID. How did that kind of just feel? You know what I'm saying? Like you came back from all this adversity, and then to have your UFC debut canceled.
Yeah, it sucked. I swear to God, I was just like it's weird, man. Like even when like the same thought crossed my mind even when I lost my debut, right? Like I was like, damn, what the fuck? Like that's the first thing that just went through my head. Like when they canceled the fight, and then when I lost my debut, when I had the tumor, I was like, damn, man, what the fuck? I was like, dude, what did I like? I was like, what did I do as a kid? Like, did I walk under a ladder? Did I like spill like salt or like what did I do, man? Like did I kill a black cat or like I don't know, man. I was like, dude, what's going on? I was like, hey, you know, is somebody pulling it? Like, is this a prank? I was like, can we stop this stuff right now? But it was just one of those things. I was just like, man, it is what it is. Ultimately, at the end of the day, I was like, this sucks, but there's really nothing I could do about it, you know. And it just forced me to come back hungrier and stronger, and by doing that, it just made me a better fighter, you know. So I think all that craziness that happened, cancellations, surgeries, stoppages, this, that, I think it's can you hear me?
Yeah, I can.
Hello? Yeah, I think it made me way better. So like I said, I mean, it definitely sucks. It's one of those things that, you know, I would rather not go through. But then again, if I didn't go through it, I would have never known like how much mental and intestinal fortitude I have, you know, like I would have never been really introduced to myself as a fighter, as a human, if I would have never went through what I went through. So I'm pretty fortunate for all of that stuff, all those things, you know. So they make winning and being in the UFC all that much more meaningful to me. So I'm definitely pleased with them. And like I said, I can't wait to leave more memorable performances in that octagon, you know, wins and a bunch more dominating performances, which I know I'm capable of doing. And I know a lot of people that have been watching me since the regional, you know, that I'm doing.
Perfect world. When do you return?
Oh man, I would like to return in October. If I can, I wouldn't mind to do 2 more this year. That would be awesome. Like realistically speaking, if I could get in there and fight October and then the beginning of December, I would love that. But I also know that the world doesn't revolve around me, so it doesn't always happen that way. But if I could at least get 1 more in this year, I would love that. I mean, I wouldn't mind a fight at the end of October or beginning of December would be awesome, you know, just so I could get 1 fight in before the holiday season and then enjoy the holidays with the family. I would definitely love to do that. But in a perfect world, which doesn't exist, I would fight probably 2 more times this year and make that bankroll swole.
And then you got a teammate main eventing next weekend. What are your thoughts on that fight?
I think it's a tough fight, 100%. Anthony Smith, he's a gamer, but if there's anybody that could get it done, it's my teammates. It's Ryan Spann. The guy is just always in here. He's always working, and he's another guy that has been through so much adversity, not only in his personal life, but in his UFC career, in MMA in general. You know, like people wrote this guy off after he lost his Contender Series fight, which is like absolutely idiotic. You know, they wrote him off early in his career too when he lost. And I think he's a guy that I relate to a lot, right? Because he's a guy that some people, they see he has like 7 losses on his record, but they don't realize what happened in those fights, or they don't factor in, you know, all the craziness. Like I literally had this conversation today that it's not always about the record. You know, sometimes records are very deceiving. You'll have guys that they'll be in the UFC, they'll be 1-2 or 1-3 or 1-1. And then you think, oh yeah, this guy, you're writing him off. And then he just turned into a Jan Blachowicz, or he turned into a Charles Oliveira, or he's just so fucking tough that he just got fed to the wolves his first 2 fights. And his 3rd fight, he gets a young up-and-comer that everybody thinks the young up-and-comer is going to steamroll him. And then he's like, all right, I'm going to show you guys why this dude's not going to do that. And then he obliterates that young up-and-comer. So Ryan Span's definitely one of those guys, you know, that the record doesn't always tell it, you know, it doesn't do him justice. And I think Span has a very bright future, to be honest, you know. And I think this fight's going to open up a lot of eyes for people to realize that Span is a powerhouse. I mean, dude fights at 205, but he's like a freaking incredibly athletic dude, you know. Like, he could wrestle, he could grapple, even though I have a better guillotine than him. So you could post that right now, because he tries to compete with me. He thinks he has a better guillotine than I do, but that's just simply not the truth. I don't think so. We could go guillotine for guillotine. Span knows I got a pretty insane guillotine. But yeah, I think all jokes aside, I think Span has such a bright future, man, and I got a lot of love for the guy and everybody on. I think Span is going to get it done next week. It's a tough fight, of course. Anybody in the top 10, top 5 is not easy for anybody, but I definitely think Span has all the tools to take care of business.
Awesome. Well, so thank you so much for your time, Ramiz. If you want to plug your social media, plug your sponsors, go right ahead.
Yeah, for sure. 170 Ramiz, I think that's my Twitter. Ramiz B170 is going to be my Instagram. And then Facebook, you guys can send me political memes all the time. It's just my name, Ramiz Brahimaj. I like driving everybody crazy on Facebook sometimes. But all jokes aside, seriously, those are my social media platforms. And tune in. Sometimes I post funny content. Sometimes I just go ghost for a while because I end up forgetting to log on to social media. But it's cool, man. I think I got an interesting journey, so definitely follow it.
Thank you so much.